YouTube, you're killing me. All right, well, we're live on Rumble and Twitch. I hit go live, and then I went and did what I had to do. I came back, the thing was still spinning, loading. Bro. So what's up, guys? There's two things happening. One's resolved already. This situation, Staten Island at a shipyard. There was an explosion. People needed to be rescued. There was a massive fire. I believe, let's see here. There was two individuals that were trapped inside. And then they ended up getting, just now, they got the last person. I could replay the clip. They just now got the last person. There was an explosion in a confined space. They said high CO levels out in Staten Island, New York. So that situation has resolved itself, but we still have this California situation. Let me get this off the screen. Boom, 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 boom. They're saying that this toxic chemical tank could blow up. I feel like this has been going on for a few hours, but they're live out there now with a helicopter. Garden Park. Chemical tank. So they reissued an evacuation order. They had evacuations orders earlier, and then they stopped it, and then they brought the evacuation orders back. They're saying thousands of Orange County residents remain under evacuation orders Friday after officials warned that a massive storage tank leaking hazardous chemicals at a Garden Grove Aerospace facility could potentially rupture or explode. I want to know what kind of explosion, rupture are we talking about here? How big, how far, what kind of chemicals? Garden Grove. Oh, did they have a conference? Fire officials said in a conference that the situation escalated significantly overnight. Let's see if we can get that press conference. Let me see if we get the press conference. Did I miss it, or is it coming up? Let's see. Garden Grove, California. Oh, they were live for a long time earlier today. Two options left for the tank spewing. That's what they said. It could fail or blow up. Oh my God. Ah. I'm gonna find like a more recent video. On the radio. 41 minutes ago. Okay, here we go.
Now at noon, breaking news. Thousands of Orange County residents are under reinstated evacuation orders after a hazardous materials leak at an aerospace facility. Thank you for joining us for the KTLA 5 News at noon. I'm Lauren Lister. Highly flammable chemicals started spewing from a massive storage tank yesterday afternoon, and officials are working to protect nearby residents and businesses. Orange County Bureau Chief Chip Yost is live in Garden Grove with the breaking details. Chip.
Yeah, this situation has unfortunately escalated quite a bit. If you live anywhere in the area around Garden Grove here, you really want to pay attention to this update. We are told there is now a serious chance that this 34,000 gallon tank of manufacturing chemicals could explode. You'll hear more in a moment from some of the fire officials. First, let's get you up to speed, show you some video from Sky 5 HD. This is the tank we're talking about. This is in Garden Grove. It's a 34,000 gallon tank located at GKN Aerospace on Western near Chapman. Yesterday, a little before 3:30, Orange County Fire Authority officials got a call that that tank was in distress. There was a problem there. It had overheated. They got there, they found that vapors were coming out from the top of the tank. They said that was actually part of the protocol. If there was some problem, they would release vapors from the top of the tank because it was overheating to try to rectify the situation. Firefighters have been out there ever since trying to cool the tank down, but the situation has not gotten better. It looked for a moment like it had. Last night, there were evacuation orders in the neighborhood. However, early this morning, they realized the situation had gotten worse. They reinstated evacuation orders, and in fact, those evacuation orders have expanded to include other parts of the community. A little bit ago, the fire department and police department put a video out to stress just how serious this situation is. Here's more from them.
We have a tank that is actively in crisis, for lack of a better word. We've been working very, very hard to mitigate it with both the manufacturing company, their third-party contractor to mitigate these type of incidents, as well as our hazmat teams. While initially we were successful, which is why we allowed people back in their homes last night, unfortunately, this morning we have determined that the tank that is in the biggest crisis is in fact unable to be secured and mitigated in the current information we're getting from the manufacturer. There are literally two options left remaining. One, the tank fails and spills a total of about 6,000 to 7,000 gallons of very bad chemicals into the parking lot in that area. Or two, the tank goes into a thermal runaway and blows up, affecting the tanks that are around them that have fuel or the chemicals in them as well. So that's why we need to emphasize that the evacuation orders, which have been increasing based on the information, the most current information we're getting, increasing in the most abundance of care or caution for public safety, that you follow these orders. Most importantly, right now, there is no active gas leak, no plume in the area. We are setting up these evacuations in preparation for these two options. It fails or it blows up. Please follow our requests.
I guess
and orders.
Failing is worse, or blowing up is worse, I guess.
And here is one more look at that map he was talking about. Like I said, that evacuation area has expanded. And to give you an idea of how serious the situation is, they also evacuated first responders from the hot zone, from the immediate area around there, because they didn't want them around in case one of those scenarios you just heard described happens. So first responders are out of the immediate area. They want people to take this seriously, these evacuation orders you just heard there, if you live in that area, to get out of the way, because they really don't have confidence that this is going to end well, as you heard there. Now let's take a look. We have Sky 5 up above that tank right now live. This is a live shot of the tank they're keeping an eye on. What they tell me is, and you might see it in the video there, they're trying to address it remotely. They have some hoses set up where they are remotely trying to put
I was about to say, who's over there? I was like, I was wondering if they could do that remotely.
On it, cool it down, that kind of thing. We'll get more details on that in a little bit. We are expecting to have a news conference now. We've been telling you that all morning. The news conference was supposed to be originally at 11 o'clock, then 12 o'clock. It kept getting moved because of the situation. They wanted to be far enough away from that area to give the news conference, so they kept moving it, and that's one of the reasons they put that video out, just to get word out to everyone right now of what's going on. So if you live in the area, take the situation seriously, take the evacuation orders seriously. We'll have more. We're expecting a new news conference at 2 o'clock. Hopefully that holds, and we'll get more information for you at that point. For now, reporting live here in Garden Grove, I'm Chip Yost. We'll send it back to you.
Okay. Wow. The same feed. Oh, that is crazy, dude. Okay. So I'm going to work on pulling up some more information about the place. I'm kind of updating some of the metadata for the live stream because I was going to cover two things at once, but as soon as I started, the other rescue situation ended. So we'll just focus on the Cali thing. Garden Grove. Yeah. Got to update the title to title, thumbnail. So that's it right there. Remotely being sprayed. There's machines that are spraying this thing down. This dude literally said this thing can blow up at any moment, which is pretty wild. He said there's two options. It either blows up or fails. I was like, what? What? So the facility is called GKN Aerospace. GKN Aerospace. Oh yeah, she loves it. Loves it. We're going back soon to get it redone. Thank you. Stunting in the hair. They even got a YouTube page, GKN Aerospace. So the place is located at 12122 Western Avenue, Garden Grove, California, Orange County. This place is called GKN Aerospace, a global aerospace giant that supplies parts to Boeing, Airbus, Lockheed Martin, etc. I think that's military. The Garden Grove facility specializes in transparency systems. They manufacture advanced acrylic plastic canopies, cockpit windows, windshields, and other transparent components for commercial airlines, business jets, helicopters, and military aircraft. Most famously, they produce the F-35 Lightning II fighter jet canopies. They're currently expanding the plant to double the F-35 canopy production. The site uses large quantities of methacrylate because it's the main raw material monomer for making the high-strength, shatter-resistant acrylic plastics needed for the aircraft transparencies. I wonder if there's any scanner for this. The chemical methacrylate, got that meth. It says it's colorless. It's a volatile liquid with a sharp, fruity, acrid odor. Acrid. Chemical formula, it's C5H802. It's the building block of monomer for polymethyl methacrylate, PMMA, the clear, strong acrylic plastic known as plexiglass or lucilite. It's stored in this facility to produce acrylic sheets and resins for aircraft canopies and windows. It's stored in bulk. The leaking tank held 34,000 gallons. They say it's highly flammable liquid and vapor. Okay. Volatile, evaporates easily and forms vapors quickly. The dangers. Vapors can form explosive mixtures in the air. Extremely easy to ignite. Strong irritant to the eyes, skin, nose, throat, and lungs, coughing and wheezing, chest tightness, shortness of breath. Can cause allergic skin reactions and respiratory sensitization. High exposure can cause headache, dizziness, nausea. Sounds like all the shit we get, all the side effects to whatever medication you take. Okay, let's see what else. Oh, central nervous system depression, long-term effects. So there's long-term effects also, possible liver, kidney effects, and reproductive and developmental concerns in animal studies. The biggest danger in this incident is the thermal runaway or runaway polymerization. MMA can undergo exothermic heat producing polymerization reaction. It's normally stabilized with inhibitors, but if the tank overheats, the stabilizer can fail. The reaction speeds up uncontrollably, generating more heat, more reaction, boiling, massive pressure, buildup, possible tank rupture or explosion. So this began on Thursday afternoon when the started venting vapors. Crews have been trying to spray water to cool it, but it remains unstable. So they're literally saying there's two scenarios left. Controlled failure spills 6,000 to 7,000 gallons of chemical into the area, or thermal runaway, the tank blows up, potentially affecting nearby tank and spreading fire and toxic smoke. That's pretty wild. Oh, and the fact that they told people, oh, it's okay to come back. And then it's like, no, you got to go. You got to get out of here. You got to go. Wow. Chemical, okay. Damn. They're saying this was an hour ago. Felony Fridays. I guess it really is crazy. We're going to be crazy today. Sidestepping for a second. Okay. They're saying this woman, a black woman, has just shot two attorneys outside of Raleigh, North Carolina courthouse in broad daylight. Multiple gunshots reported. One attorney, a woman, is currently in surgery fighting for her life. Whoa.
What is this? What the f happened, twin? You alright?
It's somebody random.
You alright?
Yo,
what the f?
Wow. So we're going to have to find out about that later, or in a little bit. I'll look into it more, see what's going on. Wow. They were on the same case. Oh, they must have. So GKN Aerospace. It says it's in Orange County. I'll play the presser again. They had a mini thing earlier, but if I'm I I I think I don't know if they're doing another one soon. I think I'm gonna play this one again so you guys, especially those Cali people out there. I want to try to get a map too.
Good morning. I'm TJ McGovern, Interim Fire Chief for the Orange County Fire Authority, and I want to give you all an update on an emerging hazmat incident that we have working right now in the city of Garden Grove. Yesterday, Orange County Fire responded to a chemical incident in the city of Garden Grove on Western Avenue. We had a robust hazmat response yesterday. When crews arrived on scene, they found a very large tank off-gassing with some fumes. The crews have been out there all evening and into today, which they're still out there. Just recently, we've had increased data that we were going to be doing a press conference at 12 o'clock today, but due to the data we received that's very pertinent and important to the public, we are now going to give you all an update of emerging information that we have. You are going to hear from the police chief of Garden Grove and also our incident commander to give you specifics and what we need right now from the public.
Thank you, Chief. My name is Craig Covey. I'm a Division Chief with Orange County Fire and Incident Commander of IMT-1. On behalf of the Unified Commanders, we're going to update you about the importance of our operations and the need for this community to hold and follow to the evacuation order. What is going on? We have a tank that is actively in crisis, for lack of a better word. We've been working very, very hard to mitigate it with both the manufacturing company, their third-party contractor to mitigate these type of incidents, as well as our hazmat teams. While initially we were successful, which is why we allowed people back in their homes last night, unfortunately this morning we have determined that the tank that is in the biggest crisis is in fact unable to be secured and mitigated in the current information we're getting from the manufacturer. There are literally two options left remaining. One, the tank fails and spills a total of about 6,000 to 7,000 gallons of very bad chemicals into the parking lot in that area. Or two, the tank goes into a thermal runaway and blows up, affecting the tanks that are around them that have fuel or the chemicals in them as well. So that's why we need to emphasize that the evacuation orders, which have been increasing based on the information, the most current information we're getting, increasing in the most abundance of care, caution for public safety, that you follow these orders. Most importantly right now, there is no active gas leak, no plume in the area. We are setting up these evacuations in preparation for these two options. It fails or it blows up. Please follow our requests and orders for evacuations. Chief Amir.
Good afternoon. I am Police Chief Amir Alfara with the Garden Grove Police Department. I first want you to know that the community safety is our highest priority, and we want to see this come to a successful resolution, but we need your help in that. We have expanded our evacuation areas. That is going to include Trask to the south, Ball to the north, Valley View to the west, and Dale Street to the east. This is all updated on social media sites and is going out as we are talking now. Please adhere to these evacuation orders. We also have evacuation centers for those who are impacted in two locations. First, we have at Garden Grove City Park, the Sports and Recreation Center at 13641 Deodara Drive, Garden Grove, California, 92844. We have a second location that's been propped up by our partners at Orange County Sheriff's that is in the city of Cypress at 5700 Orange Avenue, Cypress, California, 90630. We are working closely with our partners in law enforcement and the mutual aid cooperation, and we are going to make sure that you are safe and aware of upgoing contacts with this. Thank you.
Okay, I have a map too that they sent to me. So will explode. He said either two options. It's either going to explode or it's going to fail, which is going to be 6,000 to 7,000 gallons of this bad chemicals. He says in the parking lot, I guess. But I was wondering too if the one explosion can have a reaction, can cause like the other tanks to explode. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'm gonna put the map for you guys in a second. Here's the map. Let me put that up here. Thank you for sending that. It's gonna go full screen. So it's in Garden Grove, but this is the map. OC Scanner posted this 2 hours ago. Make it full screen. Take a screenshot if you want to. I mean, if it was me, even if I lived anywhere near there, even outside of the map, I'd go stay somewhere else for the night. I'd go stay at a friend's. I don't know, stay at a hotel. I'm leaving for the night. What else? Officials. Let me get all the, see if I can do this, get all the Cali feeds up. There we go. Trump's talking. NBC. Is the presser or something else?
Tell Brent not to laugh. Tell him don't laugh. Which one? Oh, Brent?
They're doing something there, but I don't think that's... I'm going to keep an eye in case. I don't think that's the new presser. Top stories. I wonder if this is in the picture I was sent. Oh, they have a website. Oh, okay. I'm going to put this website if there's any people in Garden Grove, Orange County. If you want to look at the government website for the map, I'm adding it to the description. For evacuations. Fires. What about the helicopter that's there? Can it be affected? That shit blows up. Maybe is that why that's the only helicopter there? So they have evacuation centers, 2 of them there.
Just a couple more minutes, folks.
13641 Deodara Drive, and then there's another one, 5700 Orange Avenue. If you're in this area here, I think it might be the same. Or did it expand because it's past the freeway?
Yeah.
Yeah, they expanded. The map, 1 p.m. latest update. About an hour ago. The western border expanded to the Valley View Street. Northern border expanded to Ball Road. And southern border expanded to Trask Avenue. So I'll put the link to that website in the description for anybody local out there. Well, I'm about to look it up now. Let's see.
At an aerospace facility. Let's take a listen.
We are coming on the air for breaking news update right now as we wait for this press conference to get underway. This all started yesterday in Garden Grove off of Western Avenue,
from a
company called GKN
Aerospace facility. Let's take a listen.
And Colleen, I can tell you as we wait for this press conference to get underway that this all started yesterday in Garden Grove off of Western Avenue, a company called GKN Aerospace. They're now speaking. Let's listen in.
Fire captain and public information officer with the Orange County Fire Authority. On behalf of the 4 unified command agencies, the Orange County Fire Authority, Garden Grove Police Department, Orange County Sheriff's Department, and the Orange County Healthcare Agency, in addition to the many assisting agencies, we appreciate you all being here today. For updated information, please continue to follow OC Fire Authority on X. Additionally, a public information hotline has been established, and the number is 714-628-7085. This afternoon, there will be 5 speakers with a brief time for questions at the end. Today's speakers are Orange County Fire Authority Interim Fire Chief TJ McGovern, Orange County Fire Authority Division Chief and Unified Incident Commander Craig Covey, Garden Grove Police Department Chief and Unified Incident Commander Amir El Farah, City of Garden Grove Mayor Stephanie Kloffenstein, and Orange County Supervisor Janet Wynn. Chief McGovern.
Thank you, Captain Bartlett. Good afternoon. TJ McGovern, Interim Fire Chief for Orange County Fire Authority. Thank you all for being here as we work in unified command with our partners for keeping our community safe. Yesterday afternoon, the Orange County Fire Authority responded to a chemical incident in Garden Grove on Western Avenue. It was involving a vapor release from a tank containing an industrial chemical used in plastic and manufacturing. One of the 3 tanks affected experienced an increase in temperature, activating a relief valve and overhead sprinkler system to cool the product. OCFA resources were on scene in less than 6 minutes with a robust hazardous material response. Initial actions were the safety of our people, of the life of our communities, supporting the systems that the building already had in play with unstaffed ground monitors, and that was due to the safety risk of our first responders and the people in the vicinity. As precautions, nearby neighborhoods in Garden Grove and Stanton were evacuated. Throughout the day, vapor conditions improved and evacuation orders were lifted. After the evacuation orders were lifted, the facility and industrial crews continued to make progress towards the removal and the containment. Additional operational plan was. We understand how disruptive and frightening this is to the public and our communities, particularly for the residents who have been asked to leave their homes for their own safety. Hazardous material incidents can evolve quickly and unpredictably. and so did our response. When our initial crews recognized what was going on, the citizens in the communities, that was their priority, make sure they were protected. Together, we will all get through this to keep our communities safe, and we will do our best to get those residents that were evacuated back in their homes when the incident is mitigated and it's safe to do that. It is our community's interest to keep them safe and out of harm's way. Thank you for all being here. Thank you for your support. And with that, I'm going to give it to our Incident Commander, Chief Craig Covey.
Thank you, Chief McGovern. As you said, my name is Craig Covey. I'm the Incident Commander and a Division Chief with Orange County Fire. I'm also the Incident Commander of Orange County Fire's Incident Management Team 1. On behalf of the Unified Incident Command Team, which includes members from Anaheim Fire Department, Garden Grove Police Department, Cypress Police Department, Anaheim Police Department, Orange County Sheriff's Department, and Orange County Healthcare Agency. Each of those agencies has one member as part of the Unified Command so that we can all work in collaboration to mitigate this incident as quickly as possible. So to go a little bit beyond what Chief McGovern expressed. So these tanks, there's 3 of them there. The tank that is the most compromised and in crisis currently has, we estimate, somewhere around 7,000 gallons of this chemical left in it. The other 2 tanks, one of them, we were able to induce a agent to neutralize it, and we've secured its volatility. The other tank, we have not been able to do that as well, but it is not in crisis like the primary tank. That tank, when it heated up on the first day, actually bulged. It got to a point where it does what we call a BLEVE, which is a boiling liquid expanding vapor explosion. If you've ever seen videos of tank cars on a railroad track blowing up and that fireball it puts out and it blows half the tank car a half a mile down the train track, that's the incident potential we are dealing with if this suffers a catastrophic failure. That's why, in an abundance of caution, we have reissued the evacuation, and after continued information getting in from our hazmat team on scene, we increased the safety zone. And this is why. The manufacturer has a response team. They work together with us to go in and mitigate that. We had initial really good success after we cooled those tanks down with the sprinkler system and our hose streams. But while they were trying to unload all those things and neutralize them, put the chemicals in to neutralize them, they discovered the primary tank that's in crisis. We were unable to access the valves. The valves are broken, they're gummed up with the agent, and we were unable to offload the material through the systems that it has. So that's the point we're at. They advised us, they have tried everything that they can, and there's nothing else they are capable of doing to mitigate that tank that's in crisis. So we have assembled a team to think outside the box. Our hazmat teams from in-county and with the healthcare agency are calling people all over the state and the country to get together with ideas how we can safely go in there and depressurize a pressurized tank and mitigate the exposure that it has. What we were told by the manufacturer's tech rep is that essentially we're at 2 current options and outcomes of this tank. One, it fails and cracks and all the product leaks out onto the ground. Now we've created containment barriers in anticipation of that. That's roughly 7,000 gallons of liquid going out on the ground. We've made sand barriers. We've done our efforts to mitigate it from getting into the storm drains and the river channels and into our oceans that we know are close. So in a weird world, that's the best case scenario, believe it or not, because once it comes out, it is no longer an explosive hazard, and our hazmat teams in their chemical protective suits can go in, neutralize, and mitigate the vapors that will be coming off of that. The plume that will come off of that leak. We'll be able to get in there and secure it, mitigate it, and return this community. The other option that was told to us is that it blows up. That was what we were handed. A leaking tank or tank that blows up. Yeah. That's why we extended the evacuation today. In an overabundance of caution, this is highly volatile, it's highly toxic, and it's highly flammable. So we put out the message earlier. I cannot emphasize, this is not precautionary. This is gonna happen unless some brilliant guy behind me here figures out how we can mitigate this incident. This thing is gonna fail. We don't know when. I know everybody wants to know how long we're gonna have them out of the house. I don't have an answer to you on that. At some point, this is gonna fail, and we're doing our best to figure out the when or how we can prevent it. But at this point, the only two options that are facing us, only plan is out there is this thing failing, and we react and mitigate what kind of failure occurs. Again, right now, there is no active gas leak coming off that thing. We have cooled it down enough that the purge valve that is on top of it is no longer purging any kind of product from the liquids there. So the community is safe. There's nothing in the air right now. But to ensure that we have active monitoring around the area, to ensure we're not something that's going out there that we're not aware of, we're monitoring the temperature of the tank with drones constantly, trying to validate what the exterior temperature is. And then we also have a set temperature where when it reaches that point, we know the tank is going into thermal runaway, and we're going to pull everybody out of the area, make sure it's safe, and let the tank do what it's going to do. I appreciate you all being out here. It's really important for us to communicate out to our communities. This has been an incredibly evolving, dynamic incident all night. Last night, I actually went home for a little bit thinking we got this thing going in the right direction. Got woken up at 4 in the morning going, nope, it's gone the wrong direction now. So this is very serious. This evacuation needs to be paid attention to. People need to get out of their houses and get into a safe space, because when this thing goes, depending on what direction it's going, we cannot control the weather. We cannot control it. So that's why we put a evacuation circle that's going to take into effect no matter which way the wind is blowing at that time. Okay? So thank you for your support and getting this message out to your communities.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here. I'm Police Chief Amir Alfaro with the Garden Grove Police Department. I will tell you this is a large-scale event, and our evacuation zone is quite large. Cities that have been impacted is Garden Grove, Cypress, Stanton, Anaheim, Buena Park, Westminster. We have worked closely with our partners at OC Sheriff's Office and their mobile field force configuration to assist in those evacuations, as well as our allied partners and adjoining cities nearby. The evacuation area consists of Ball Street to the north, Trask Avenue to the south, Dale to the east, and Valley View Boulevard to the west. This is a large-scale operation that is drawing a lot of resources that we can continue to make sure our community is being safe at this time. Those who have been impacted in our community by this evacuation zone, we have several evacuation centers set up for you. The first being at Garden Grove Sports and Recreation Center, located at 13641 Deodara Drive. That's in Garden Grove, California, 92844. The second one is in the city of Cypress at 5700 Orange Avenue, Cypress, California, 90630. I would just like to tell our community this is a significant event for us, somewhat unprecedented. Please adhere to the evacuation orders. From a law enforcement and fire perspective, our highest priority is your safety and security. So please listen to what we're telling you. We have multiple outlets posting updated information on social media platforms, as well as through our partners in the media. So we appreciate you and thank you for being here to get that message out. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Mayor of Garden Grove, Stephanie Klopfenstein. You just heard from OCFA and the Garden Grove Police Department about the seriousness of this incident and the steps being taken to protect the community. My message to our residents, businesses, and employees in the affected area is direct. Please follow all evacuation orders, road closures, and instructions from emergency personnel. We understand that this is frightening. We understand that people are worried about their homes, their businesses, their pets, and their loved ones, but the evacuation orders are in place for your safety. The city's priority is to protect life and keep people out of harm's way. We want to get everyone's home reopened in the area as soon as possible, but we also have a due diligence to make sure that we determine if it is safe first. To those who have evacuated and cooperated with public safety instructions, thank you. Your cooperation is helping first responders focus on the incident and the work that they do to keep us safe. To everyone still in evacuation areas, please leave immediately. This is a serious situation, and now it is not the time to wait. Please leave now. The City of Garden Grove has also opened a 24-hour call center for community members who need information and assistance. The number is 714-741-5444. That's 714-741-5444. The latest updates are also available at ggcity.org/emergency. I want to thank OCFA, the Garden Grove Police Department, city staff, and all mutual aid agencies for working under difficult and dangerous conditions to protect our community. And I want to thank you for your patience, cooperation, and care for one another as this response continues. At this time, you'll now hear from Supervisor Janet Nguyen.
Thank you, Mayor. First and foremost, my thoughts are with every resident, family, and students impacted by this incident. I grew up in this community, so this is personal to me. I want you to know that I, the county, and AQMD are committed to making sure you are safe, informed, and supported through every step of this situation. As your county supervisor and as a governing board member of the South Coast Air Quality Management District, I want residents to know that agencies at every level are actively coordinating to protect your safety and health. Emergency responders remain on scene, working to safely contain the incident, and evacuation orders remain in place. We urge all residents to continue following all instruction and emergency personnel. Dr. CK, our county health officer, county hazmat team from HCA, the county healthcare agency, have been working alongside South Coast Air Quality Management on site to support the first responders. AQMD has deployed equipment to measure air quality and wind in real time. This will help emergency responder assess conditions and make informed decisions. Right now, the current monitoring shows that the air quality is within typical levels. We will continue monitoring for any changes. We are grateful to the agency and organization working hard to keep residents informed as the situation develops. Clear, timely, and accurate information is critical during emergency, and we appreciate the continued efforts to provide updates to the community. I want to thank the Orange County Fire Authority, City of Garden Grove, the Garden Grove Police Department, County Healthcare Agency, the Sheriff Department, AQMD, the U.S. EPA, the Governor, Cal EOS, and all the responding agencies for their prompt response and coordinating efforts during this incident. We will continue doing everything we can to support and take care of our residents. Updates will continue to be shared as information becomes available. Thank you.
Okay, thank you to all of our speakers. We're now going to open it up for questions. Michelle? Okay, the question was regarding what the chemical is and what the potential impacts are.
Thank you, Michelle. I figured that question would come up. And remember what I said, I have a whole bunch of really smart people behind me. I'm going to introduce Division Chief Nick Freeman here. He's our Hazmat Program Manager and has got multiple years in Hazmat emergency response, and he's got a lot of that information for you.
Good afternoon, as stated. My name is Nick Freeman. I'm Division Chief with the Orange County Fire Authority. To the question, the product involved, thank you, is methyl methacrylate. It is a highly toxic, as previously stated, substance, so it can impact respiratory system, cause skin irritation, and eye irritation. The other concern we have is it's extremely flammable, and in its current state, very reactive and can cause that explosion, which is why we have that hard perimeter in place.
All right, next question, Bianca? So the question was, how many people are impacted and have had to evacuate, and how have the notifications been going out, and are they cooperating? Chief Alfaro?
Thank you for that question. So right now we believe an estimate of about 40,000 people impacted in the evacuation area. As far as the cooperation levels, we are tracking that. We are experiencing about a 15% refusal rate. As far as how we are getting the messaging out, we've done a 911 reverse call to everyone in that evacuation area. social media post. We're constantly updating it and getting that messaging out. So it is out there if people are paying attention, but this is where we need our community to really come together. This is where we need our partners in the media to get that information out. Tell your neighbors what's going on if they haven't been paying attention. And we are monitoring sensitive locations for any additional needs and resources that we can put that way. Thank you. I don't have an answer for you on that. So this is a dynamic situation, and we're gonna be hopeful that we can resolve this quickly. But everyone needs to take the safety measures that are in place from their local public safety offices and adhere to those so they can make sure that they and their families are completely safe. Thank you.
All right. Ma'am? So first, let's address the valve question you had. So you were wondering the impacts of the valve and how that impacted operations. Chief Freeman?
Yeah, so to the question of the valve, there are multiple valves on this tank. While we were doing the transferring process and also trying to introduce a stabilizer into the tank to take away the concern, it was identified that there was no flow going back and forth between the tank, basically meaning there's some form of inclusion in the valves. And we are unable to get anything out, and we are unable to get anything in to stabilize these tanks.
Audio's chopping for you. I could change it.
So that's a good question. As far as symptomology,
There's a little like weird
as
sound.
I previously stated, respiratory is our primary concern. So it's a respiratory irritant. So it can start off very mild, but it can progress to a point where, yes, is our primary concern. So it's a respiratory irritant. So it can start off very mild, but it can progress to a point where, yes, you would probably require hospitalization, if not more.
That's serious.
The other indicators more early on are going to be skin and eye irritation that might be felt by anybody that is exposed should there be a release. Both. You have the potential if we have a major release for an acute impact, and then if there is a prolonged release, there could be a chronic impact depending on what occurs in this incident.
For some additional information on the health impact, we're going to invite County Health Officer Dr. CK up. She can provide a little more context.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here. As stated, it is very important for everybody to heed the instructions to evacuate. If you were told so, please evacuate. So what we know about methacrylate, which I'm going to refer to as MMA, is that it is a chemical that is very toxic. What we know in terms of human health is that we have very limited case reports of exposure. And when you have limited short-term exposure, meaning maybe you inhaled some of the vapor, it can cause significant irritation in the lungs, the nasal passages, and it can also cause nausea. It can also cause dizziness. At very high levels, it can really cause severe respiratory distress and hospitalization. And this is where we really need everybody to heed all of the evacuation orders. In terms of long-term consequence, it will affect other organs. In terms of the birds and different animals are affected differently. Again, I'm working with EPA and South Coast AQMD, different specialists, to provide more information. And again, the reason why the evacuation zone was expanded was to take into consideration the potential of a plume. So again, if you're in the area and you were told to evacuate, please evacuate. So those are animal studies. In terms of the human effect, we don't know the long-term consequence, but already if it has that type of effect in mice, it can have the same effect in humans. Yes, this is a unique situation We don't have information of a similar situation where this happened, right? So we're going into unique times, and we have limited information. We know it does cause irritation. We know that on the occupational side, people who work with this material are advised to wear goggles or respirators, try not to get in contact. If it gets in contact with the skin, it can cause a significant skin irritation or allergy.
Okay, we got time for one more question. Sir? Okay, first question was, is the substance heavier or lighter than air? Chief Freeman will handle that, and then we'll turn it over to the doc.
Yeah, thank you for the question. This product is heavier than air, so it's going to settle and sink into the lower areas in and around that facility and any low holding places. We are anticipating and just planning for that as an inevitability, which is part of our isolation zones that we've done, utilizing our current wind and weather conditions in that scenario. No injuries or deaths at this point.
Folks, so we're going to finish his other part of his question, and then that's going to be it for today. So, Doc, if you'd like to come up and explain the potential impacts if somebody was to inhale the substance.
So this depends on the concentration of exposure. We don't know. We don't know in terms if there was a plume, how heavy of a plume and concentration of the substance would be in that plume. So if that were to happen, again, we want everybody to be away from the zone that we have created to safeguard everybody's health.
I would like to make one statement that I believe Chief Covey talked about. We are actively monitoring the air, and those limits right now are within normal limits. We are actively monitoring them. They are within normal limits. I just want to make sure we're clear, and we're going to continue to monitor them.
All right, folks, that's going to conclude the speaking portion of the press conference. Thank you all for joining us today, and thank you to our community for their support throughout this incident. Please continue to follow OC Fire Authority.
Okay, you have been listening live there to authorities with the OC Fire Authority and the police chief there in Garden Grove of this very dynamic, unprecedented situation in Garden Grove of this tank. All things considered, best case scenario that it will spill, but calling the potential that it could explode.
This is a dire situation. People who are in the evacuation zone, you heard it so many times. We will repeat it. Evacuate. Again, this is a first of its kind hazmat situation. You can see the tank that's right there. They say it's in crisis. They are trying to get this to mitigate itself, and they're having a very hard time. So again, if you are in this evacuation zone, you must evacuate. We are certainly following this. We are going to have the very latest on Eyewitness News at 3 o'clock. We will have team coverage.
Also follow the latest online, abc7.com. We'll see you coming up at 3 p.m.
This has been breaking news on Eyewitness News. Get alerted first to breaking news happening around you. Download the ABC7 Eyewitness News app.
I think they cut off here too. I think it's both YouTube. Let me get the website. Where's the websites? I put the website for the link for from the city is for the evacuation area, so that's in that area. If you need to look for that. Evacuations. Let's see. Well, I guess they're on break. Yeah, that's pretty wild, man. I mean, I don't know how long they would sit there. Let's see. And the long-term effects of this chemical. Let's see.
Very scary situation for people out here. Like you mentioned, there are 5 different cities across Orange County that are impacted. Buena Park, Cypress, Westminster, Garden Grove, Anaheim, 40,000 people that have been asked to evacuate, and officials really, that's their number one plea. Just get out if you are in these locations, because again, we don't know what's going to happen. There are 2 scenarios. They say it's likely one of those two is going to happen, but they don't know when. But yeah, right now the situation is calm. We're not seeing anything in the air. The officials said that the air quality remains what it usually is around this time. But yeah, we just have to wait and see. Now, other information they said that they're working on. Now, they are preparing for both scenarios. They mentioned that if it were to spill, they have already created sand containment walls around the tank to prevent it from going into our storm water from getting it out there. But of course, those fumes are still going to go up into the air, and that's why it is very important that people directly in the area evacuate. So yeah, very, very serious situation out here, but we're just on standby to see, any development. But for now, I'll send it back to you guys in the studio.
And what's so concerning about this also, Amber, is the unknown, right? At some point, they say this is going to fail. At that point, we are going to react to that failure. So whether it be one of those 2 options that we heard Amber discuss, right? The liquid could spill, or the other one, it blows up. If I live in one of these affected areas, I'm thinking, my goodness, what happens next? How do I go about this? What do I do? And again, we can't stress it enough. You heard the officials there asking everybody to heed those warnings. There are places where you can go and protect yourself for now.
Amber, any idea from folks that you've spoken to throughout the course of the morning here and early afternoon? What are they telling you? You used the phrase they're freaked out. What else have they been telling you?
They say that so I did speak with some people who say that they have some friends and relatives who aren't really, believing the seriousness of this situation. People that are choosing to stay home, which is definitely not what you are supposed to do right now, what's safe to do right now. But yeah, so I think people are just it's that unknown. They don't know what's going to happen. They don't know if... We do know something's going to happen, but they don't know when it's going to happen or what it is, and that's why they're kind of just sitting here unsure of what to do.
And again, Amber, you mentioned the 2 options. Again, the best case scenario, and I don't know how it sits with people, but the best case scenario will be for it to essentially crack and leak on the ground. As you mentioned, they have those sand barriers that are set up, which means it's no longer an explosive risk. And again, that second option, as we've mentioned, it's hard to wrap your brain around here, Amber, but it blows up. That's option number 2.
Yeah, but we're still getting those chemical fumes up in the air from either option. So, I mean, it's a better option, but it's still, neither one of these options is a good one.
And we also heard officials say that this is a unique situation. So they have limited information. They don't necessarily know how to go about this per se, right? So
it's happening in real time here.
Right. So again, they're asking if anybody has a clever idea as to how we can do this. Let us know, because as of right now, they are limited with the information that they have as to how to go about this.
Amber, we see in your live shot here, we see some of the street closures. The evacuation zones have been expanded here after they were reissued as of last night. So again, what are you seeing traffic-wise, people on the streets? Kind of set the scene here for us if you can.
Yeah, they've been kind of changing. They've been fluid all day long, these evacuation zones. When we got out here around 10 a.m., it was the communities within a 1-mile radius of where this manufacturing facility was at that was being asked to leave. Then within maybe 2 hours, they expanded that radius to now 3 surrounding miles from that facility. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people still trying to navigate around these streets, people who maybe are unaware of what's going on because of the street closures. There has been traffic building up all day long from the early hours during the day when you don't typically see that traffic in this area. that's what we were seeing because of these street closures. So you see right here, we are in the corner of Beach Boulevard and Garden Grove Boulevard, right on the border of Stanton and Garden Grove. And the south part of Beach Boulevard completely closed down, completely evacuated. So yeah, you're really seeing the traffic who maybe was hoping to make a turn on that street just kind of build up around here. And I'm sure that as we get later into the evening, this traffic will get worse.
Amber, and I was just about to ask you as to whether or not you've come across anybody who is unaware of what is going on.
There are people that they know something is going on, but they're a little bit confused as to what exactly it is and the level of danger. We have had several people, stop, pull over, and ask us, "Hey, what's going on? Why is the street closed? I'm trying to get over there. What time do you think it'll reopen?" And yeah, I mean, we just have to tell them it's such a fluid situation, a very dangerous situation right now.
And it's also so hard to explain that to somebody, right? Somebody who is completely unaware of what is going on. Where do you start? Where do you start? And
it doesn't take that much. If I'm in that area and I live in there and there's some shit that could potentially blow up, there's not much you're going to have to explain. Send me the website. Hey, there's a leaking gas tank. If you want to go see it live, go see it live. But you got to go. You got to get out. You don't have to do a whole, But so yeah, it's an interesting situation. He said only two options: that either the tank fails and 6,000 to 7,000 gallons of this chemical, very bad chemical, leaks all over the parking lot, even though they stated they've put sandbags and covered all this stuff off, or the tank goes into a thermal runway and blows up, affecting the tanks around it that have fuel or chemicals in them as well. So the name of the place is GKN Aerospace facility. There's multiple large tanks on site. They have a chemical called methacrylate, MMA, which is leaking, 34,000 gallon tank and a 34,000 gallon tank. Though that tank, I guess, has been reduced to 6,000 or 7,000. They said it's not fuming, I guess. I guess they're saying the heat for now is under control, but the problem with this, what I was reading earlier, because I was also wondering about why they can't pump it out. So somebody was asking why they can't drain the tank or pump it out. Apparently, they said that the main valve is frozen. The main valve on the tank is inoperable, frozen / broken. They're saying that the valve should let them pump out or stop the flow, but of the chemical, but it's not working. Some reports, including the mayor, say that heavy water being sprayed to cool the tank actually helped freeze or jam the valve. They made progress Thursday night trying to remove the product, but in the morning they had a major setback. The other thing too, why it's dangerous, is they say that a thermal runway, it starts generating its own heat. It can, generate its own heat and rapidly boil, build massive pressure, and explode. And the guy said that even at one point yesterday, he said that the tank was expanding at one point, like this shit was about to blow. I guess they got control of it for now. But he's saying the situation is exacerbated to the point that there's only two options. It's either going to all start leaking out, 6,000 or 7,000 gallons, which I guess that would be the best case scenario, or it explodes. The other thing, and my next question with that, of course, is, well, can the other tanks explode? You know what I'm saying? Could it be a chain reaction? According to the Orange County Fire Authority, they stated multiple times that if the tank fails and spills about 6,000 or 7,000 gallons of very bad chemicals into the parking lot area, or if the tank goes to thermal runway, affecting tanks around it have fuel and chemicals in them as well. So it could trigger a bigger incident, they're saying. Okay. OCFA division chiefs just said if this tank blows up, it could affect the other tanks around it that are full of fuel and chemicals. Oh, jeez.
Situation where you had to evacuate your home this way, and no, this is very new for people in this community. They say they've never dealt with something like this, something as serious as this, and they say it's crazy. You never really know how how scary it is for people until you're living through it, which they are right now.
Amber, if you can just stand by. We have Hetty Chang. She was at that news conference, and we're getting word that she's got an update for us. Hetty.
Yeah, Annabelle, we actually just arrived at the news conference 15 minutes ago, but I was listening to it on the way here from another story. And I got to say, on the freeway and also getting closer to the Los Alamitos racetrack, which this presser just happened, you can hear the sirens all around us with fire engines as well as first responders. So I know that we all heard the sense of urgency with all of the officials that we heard from today, the mayor of Garden Grove, as well as the top officials with the OCFA. We heard it from Supervisor Janet Nguyen. This is her district. They really want people to heed to those warnings, heed to the evacuation warnings. We learned that about 40,000 people who live in the area have been asked to do this mandatory evacuation order, to heed to those orders, but they have about a 15% refusal rate. And that is the people that they are hoping to get this message across, that this is very serious. I want to bring in Captain Greg Barter here with OCFA. You just heard him at the podium at this press conference. And I want to ask you, Captain, we heard the sense of urgency with the officials, with you. What is the main message that you want to get across here?
So the main message I want to get across is we have evacuation zones established, and please, for the public out there, please heed that advice. So we're working on a plan to hopefully mitigate this incident. As we stated, it appears at this time that there's two options that are going to occur. Either the tank's going to explode or it's going to have a leak. With those two scenarios in place, we want to make sure that the public is safe. So out of an abundance of caution, we have these established evacuation zones to keep the public safe.
And Captain, just help us understand, those two options don't sound like either of them are good options, right? And I think the captain or the chief had said, in a very weird world, we want that other option of this tank to crack, of that 7,000 gallons of liquid to go onto the parking lot, so that's kind of like a contained situation, right, so to speak.
Yeah, so it kind of is a no-win situation, if you will. And between those two options, the lesser of two evils is obviously if it just leaks. We don't want an explosion to occur. So while we don't want either to happen, if we had to choose between the two, that's what we would hope would happen.
Talk to me about timing. So we know it's imminent, right? We know that it's going to fail, period. Do we know when? Do we know what is the chain of events that may lead up to either or happening?
No, so we don't have specific data on that. What we are doing is constantly monitoring it. So we have drones in the sky that are evaluating the temperature on the tank to see if it continues to rise or not, and if an explosion is imminent. Along with that, we have constant atmospheric monitoring. So we're making sure that there are no leaks, no substance in the air, on the ground, and whatnot that could affect the public.
And Captain, talk to us about that. We had heard that right now there is no active leak. Is that accurate?
That's correct. No active leak at this time.
Okay. Is the air around the area safe to breathe?
So, out of an abundance of caution, we have obviously evacuated the area. We don't have our personnel in there. We are monitoring it with remote devices to ensure that nothing is being leaked and spreading. As far as it being safe for somebody to breathe there, we definitely are not going to put our folks in harm's way down there.
Okay, and we certainly don't want to cause any sort of hysteria or chaos or panic, but is it accurate to say that either of those two options are imminent, meaning that one or the other is going to happen? There's no other way around this unless, we heard from the official, unless some brilliant mind from across the state or something, or even here, can come up with a different type of solution?
Yeah, so those appear to be the two kind of factors or the two end results in play here. However, we do have a lot of very brilliant people working on potential other solutions and trying to come up with a potential plan. But at this time, that appears to be kind of the two scenarios that are in play here.
Has this ever happened before? Let's talk about the actual manufacturing plant. How long has it been there? Has there been a history of situations like this happening? And have you ever seen this happen before?
So I don't have any information on how long that manufacturing plant's been in business or if they've had any other issues. And as far as a scenario similar to this, I can't remember one in recent memory.
Okay. Michael and Annabelle, do you have anything further you'd like me to ask Captain Greg Barta here? You can talk to me in my ear.
Yeah, Eddie, really quickly, they've expanded the evacuation zone. What do we talk about in terms of perimeter? Is it at a mile? Is it 2? Is it 3?
Yeah, Captain, I was asking about that previously. Do we know how large the evacuation area is? We know that we've got the points, Trask and Dale, I think it was, but how large is this area? And we know it impacts about 40,000 people.
Yeah, I don't have the exact square mileage yet. I know our partners in Garden Grove PD are working on that for us, and they're producing some very accurate maps for the public to utilize. But those road closures and evacuation zones are in place.
Okay. Safe to say it's a few, several miles, a square radius of...
It's a large area, obviously impacting a large quantity of people at this time, unfortunately.
Okay. Captain, thank you so much. Anything we're missing to ask? Anything we should be asking?
No, just again, a reminder for the public to please heed those evacuation warnings, and thank you to everybody that is cooperating with us.
Are we anticipating a next update anytime soon?
So our plan is to provide updates regularly for everybody in the media and the public to keep them aware.
Okay. Captain, I want to go back to the previous question of just, do we have a timeline as far as the chain of events? Like, what is happening right now in terms of keeping an eye on that compromised tank? What is it doing right now?
Yeah, so like I said, we are constantly monitoring it. We have our drone team on site, we have our hazmat team on site, so we're monitoring it from the air, and we have atmospheric monitoring being remotely done too, to kind of monitor if any changes are occurring in live time.
Okay, great. Captain Greg Barta with the Orange County Fire Authority, thank you so much. Michael and Annabelle, we know that this is a chemical called methacrylate, that there are 3 tanks on the facility of that manufacturing plant on Western Avenue. It's called GKN Aerospace. Among those 3 tanks, there is that one that is compromised. Potential of 7,000 gallons of this chemical, which we heard the health officer refer to as MMA, that there are 2 choices here. Neither of them are good. They want that tank to crack. They want that 7,000 gallons of this liquid, of this potentially volatile liquid, to pour into the parking lot, because at least in that case, it is somewhat contained. The other option they don't want to happen, and that is that this tank is going to explode. That is why they want these 40,000 people who live in this evacuation zone to really take it seriously. Again, Michael and Annabelle, you did hear the sense of urgency in the officials' voice. That was pretty apparent to me. And they wouldn't have called this press conference to urge people, that 15% refusing to evacuate, urging them to really take this seriously. We heard, I don't know if it was from the chief or the fire captain, that the tank essentially bulged, right? Yeah. Boiling liquid, expanding vapor. If it suffers a catastrophic event, that's what we don't want. We do know that aerospace company, that manufacturing company, does have a team, a response team in place. They're working closely with them. But you heard it here, the local officials here, they are reaching out to everybody across the state, any experts who can offer any sort of other options, because as we're hearing, those 2 options are neither of which are good options. We know that this is an inconvenience. It's frightening.
Yeah, supposedly if it leaked, I guess that's the best case scenario. It wouldn't cause other tanks to explode. But if it explodes, it could affect the other tanks. Yeah, I mean, if I was in that area, I'd get out for the night. Even if I was just a little bit outside of the perimeter of the evacuation zone, I'd get out. It was interesting too. She was saying that, like, they usually have like a 15%, or they got helicopter now, I think, a 15% margin of people that are just like, I'm not leaving,
This chemical can do, right? Again, the best case scenario is for that tank to crack, for that 7,000 gallons of liquid to pour into this parking lot where they have barriers and it is contained.
Eddie, they actually, when they lifted the evacuation orders, they believed that the cooling in the tank was actually working. And again, the evacuation orders were lifted. And then a damaged valve sort of interrupted the mitigation process. And then here we are back to square one. But when you hear words like highly toxic, flammable in its current state, extremely reactive, I mean, that doesn't sit well with a lot of people who are within close proximity of this plant.
It doesn't sit well, and that's why we heard officials sort of acknowledging, like, look, this is frustrating, and it's frightening, and again, I don't think they want to cause hysteria, they don't want to cause chaos, but they want to be real and upfront about potentially what this chemical can do. And you heard it from Captain Greg Barta right now. They haven't ever really experienced a situation like this, so I think they're all coming together real time to try to come up with these solutions, because we keep going back to it was concerning interesting to hear that, right? Coming from top officials, that there's only two options here, and neither are good scenarios. I think he said, you know, in a weird world, that's the best case scenario, that it is no longer expanding, right? And it's no longer an explosive matter, and they can somewhat contain it. The other option, he says, it will blow up because it is highly volatile, highly toxic, and highly flammable. The quote that I wrote down is, "The thing is going to fail. We don't know when." Here's something important to keep out there. Right now, there is no active gas leak. There's nothing in the air right now. And we heard from the AQMD, or at least a representative from the AQMD, that right now the air around is, you know, coming out, monitoring at a normal level, right? Yeah. But again, a very serious situation. People need to get out of their homes, specifically those 15% refusal rate out of those 40,000 people who live in that zone. This is one of 3 tanks experiencing an increase in temperature. That was the first response at 3:30 yesterday afternoon. OCFA says they got on the scene within 6 minutes. Through the day, the vapor conditions improved. They thought they were making progress, and that's when that evacuation, that initial evacuation order was lifted, right around 9 o'clock in the evening. Everybody went back home. Again, 6:45 this morning. I think the fire chief said he got woken up at 4 in the morning saying, okay, things are changing here. There's been some sort of challenges, and we learned today that those challenges had to do with that faulty valve, right? So that's what they're dealing with right now. Again, one of 3 tanks. The one that is most compromised is the one that they're really keeping an eye on. And again, that's the one that we want to see, that option number 2, for all of that chemical to go into the parking lot. That is the best case scenario.
You know, Hetty, they called this a large-scale operation. They say that this is a dynamic situation. Again, they can't remember the last time, if any, they experienced something like this, or anybody else experienced anything like this. So again, we just want to point out the areas that are currently being affected. Those are Garden Grove, Stanton, Anaheim, Buena Park, Cypress, Westminster. And I do want to give out a phone number that will give us updates throughout. That's 714-741-5444. It's just, you know, a lot to swallow, a lot to digest.
It is. And Hetty, you're there with officials. Can you kind of set the stage? What's the temperature of officials there where you are?
Oh, yeah.
Well, they dispersed pretty quickly here after the presser, but you know, I can tell you that while we were here, it was certainly a unified command, right? There were people here, there are people here, still here in the parking lot from, you know, the Garden Grove Police Department. Again, the mayor is out here, Supervisor Janet Nguyen is out here, and of course OCFA, and they were, each one of them were very serious about the message here, that they do want to get across to all of the people who are impacted that this is serious. And perhaps, you know, when people hear, oh, there's an evacuation warning or an order, you know, sometimes they're like, okay, we're going to be okay. We're going to be fine. It was a little bit of a different temperature, I would say. Wouldn't you say, listening to that presser? And we heard from CK, the health officer here in Orange County, talking about the potential, right? Like this is could have serious respiratory illnesses, hospitalization. You know, on a smaller scale, it could irritate the skin and the eyes. And that's why throughout the day we saw and heard the evacuation zone expanding, right? Like it was started off small, and then I think it's, you know, obviously several square blocks. Again, we heard the sirens coming into this press conference really all around the surrounding areas. So it certainly is serious. To answer your question about the temperature, I certainly think that there's some serious concern here, and they want to really relay that to the people who are impacted by this. Again, this is a chemical that could be highly volatile, highly flammable, and toxic. It is called methacrylate, and this is coming from a manufacturing plant on Western Avenue. We did get a statement from GKN Aerospace. I don't have that with me right now, Michael and Annabelle, if you do. They did respond to our inquiry. But again, one of those tanks on their facility compromised, fully compromised, is what we heard from officials there, and they are watching it closely. I almost feel like there was a call out to anyone else, right, who has some background with this chemical, to call them, because right now there's only two options, and you heard that, right? I mean, there's wonderful people who work here, certainly experts when it comes to this field, but I almost felt that the chief was saying, listen, if there's anyone who has knowledge about this chemical and has a way to mitigate the issue here, to please let us know. Did you get that feeling, Michael and Annabelle, as well?
Absolutely. Certainly did, yes. And again, it was very direct. But we also want to point out, as we don't want to be alarmists here, but we heard from officials there is no active lake heading, and you've hit on that a couple of times. The community is safe, nothing in the air right now, and they're actively monitoring the air, and they're all within limits that they should be in, and they're monitoring the temperatures of those tanks with those drones. So again, wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and they've got hazmat teams and healthcare teams that are coming up with ideas to try to depressurize this tank. But as of right now, there are only those two options that we've been telling you about. Again, this is a fluid situation, a dynamic situation, as they called it, but really a lot is going on here. You know, we've been talking about the air quality also.
All right. Hetty Ching, as always, great reporting. We'll see you at the top of the 3 o'clock show, I'm sure. In the meantime, we want to turn things over to Kelly Moody. And again, we talk about the atmosphere, the air quality right now. What are we looking at here in Garden Grove?
Yeah, I want to read this to you exactly because I want to make sure I get this correct. Now, obviously, we have had several different fires in all of Southern California, so there's a lot to consider here when we talk about our air quality right now. But the PM 2.5 concentration, we've been talking about this over the last several days. Those are those larger particles that can be dangerous for your lungs that we're most concerned about when we talk about smoke, when we talk about ash, and potentially when we talk about this sort of situation as well. The PM 2.5 concentration is currently 3.3 times what the World Health Organization considers to be safe. So this is important to consider, and I would really recommend for anyone in the area to consider wearing an N95 mask to protect themselves with this. You can see that our general air quality for the entire area is considered moderate, but we are of course going to continue to see some of these areas where we could see some risks elevated within this. I want to take a nice close look for you at where we are seeing the current conditions, the observation stations around where this chemical plant is. You can see that most of our winds are coming in from the southwest or with a bit more of a southerly flow, and they're generally speaking between 5 and 10 miles per hour. We do have some gusts that you can see at 15 miles per hour for the Cypress area, so that's something to keep in mind as well. One thing they talked about in that news conference was that if these winds should pick up, that could spread some of the potential impacts. So this is something we'll have to watch pretty closely over the next couple of days. I will note also that just in general throughout the area, winds are light. We're seeing occasionally stronger winds, but generally speaking, pretty light and variable coming in from the south as well as the southwest. As we look ahead, and I want to give you a nice tight look on areas in Orange County, the Inland Empire, keep an eye on this area here using Orange and Irvine sort of as your metric. As we head into the evening hours, things get quiet with those winds. We continue to watch those winds pick up again with just gusts up to 15 miles per hour, which isn't too bad. These are your peak wind gusts. So breezy at best throughout your Saturday afternoon and into Saturday night. We keep things pretty quiet after that point. Again, watching that onshore flow pick up a little bit more for your Sunday. This is a fluid situation. There are a lot of questions that have to be asked about this chemical as well. How will it respond to current temperatures, to relative humidity values, changes in moisture in the atmosphere? How could our current weather be impacting what is happening in this situation? But we do know with our winds, of course, as these continue to pick up and continue with that southwesterly flow, that this could get pushed farther inland. So that's something that we'll have to continue to keep in mind. And
okay. What do we got here? We got anything new? Any kind of live? Fox is somewhere else. Officer involved shooting in Covina. And let's see, just keep looking there.
Either way, it's elevated, so you might as well take the cautious route and wear that N95 mask or that, facial protection. I would recommend staying inside, running your AC, keeping that source of air fresh in your home while we continue to deal with this evolving situation.
All right, Kelly, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. We want to take it up topside
there we go.
to News Chopper 4
Perfect.
and Julia Dang. Julia.
Hey there, Michael. We just got overhead. We did fly this same scene earlier this morning, and my pilot was over this last night after the initial evacuation orders were first issued. And from overhead, this looks to be very much the same kind of scene. We were trying to figure out if any neighbors were still looking to evacuate right now. As I widen out here, we don't appear to be seeing much activity around here. I think people have heeded those evacuation orders, especially after this latest update from Orange County Fire authorities. They made it very clear it's not a matter of if, but when something happens here. Again, they are expecting this drum, this 34,000-gallon drum, at some point to either explode or start releasing more of this chemical. This is known to be a skin irritant. It can cause breathing issues.
So
there is a community nearby, right next door to this plant, this aerospace plant. You can see all these trailers. We're not seeing any kind of activity. As soon as we got overhead, our newsroom was asking, do you see people around here? Do you see anyone packing up, trying to get out? We're seeing no activity, no human activity. This is an unmanned operation they have right now that has been hosing down this drum, this 34,000-gallon drum. We're not seeing firefighters here, and the idea is to cool down the temperatures so this does not explode anytime soon. But again, it is a matter of when, not if, something happens here as evacuation orders are back in effect here in Garden Grove.
All right, Julia Dang live for us, News Chopper 4 over that scene there. And our live team coverage, breaking news, continues right now at 3. We are tracking a toxic emergency in Garden Grove. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Annabelle Sedano.
There it is.
And I'm Michael Brownlee. We started our 3 p.m. newscast early to bring you a live update from emergency officials there in Garden Grove. All right, folks, it's been more than 24 hours since a chemical leak forced people out of their homes. They were allowed to return briefly, as we heard, but evacuation orders were reissued and expanded here today as teams work to contain that threat.
Yeah, we have live team coverage on the Garden Grove leak. We have NBC4's Amber Frias. She's talking to evacuees out there.
But first, Hetty Chang is live with breaking new details from first responders. Hetty.
Yeah, Michael and Annabelle, we've been listening to this press conference that just wrapped up a short time ago with all kinds of officials with the Garden Grove Police Department, the Garden Grove Mayor, OCFA. This is a unified command. And we're talking about just the sense of urgency that we're hearing with each and every one of these officials with these agencies. It is a unified command. They are urging the 15% of the 40,000 people impacted by these evacuation orders to please take these orders seriously. We've been talking about the sense of urgency with the situation. They are calling this a very serious situation, and that this chemical, the chemical called methacrylate, is highly volatile, and it's a highly unpredictable situation. Now, the officials certainly don't want to cause any sort of hysteria or chaos, but they do want people to take these mandatory evacuation orders very seriously, and we saw them throughout the past 24 hours expand, and then they went away, and then people were able to go back home. And then this morning at 6:45, we saw that those evacuation orders were going to be reissued again, and then we saw that evacuation zone and perimeter expand, not just to Garden Grove, but to neighboring cities, right, of Stanton, of Cypress. I heard from a contact in Anaheim. They said that they had opened an evacuation center there in Anaheim as well. But we're talking about a chemical called methacrylate. We do know that there are 3 tanks within that manufacturing plant on Western Avenue. It's called GKN Aerospace. One of those tanks is compromised. The most compromised has about 7,000 gallons of this chemical, which the health officer referred to as MMA, methacrylate. It is used in the manufacturing of plastics. That tank bulged, and it caused boiling liquid to expand and excrete this vapor. So what they say is they don't want this catastrophic event to happen, but really the only two options are not good ones, right? One option is that it's going to explode, and that could be potentially a very dangerous and catastrophic situation. The other option is not so good either. They would like this tank to crack so that the 7,000 gallons of this chemical can then pour into a parking lot. At least that way there's barriers there, right? At least that way it is somewhat contained. What we do want to stress is that the officials say that there is no active leak right now, and that the air around the area is safe, right? AQMD is monitoring the levels very closely, and they say that it is monitoring at a normal level. I want to read that statement from GKN Aerospace. The situation at our Garden Grove site remains ongoing, and we are fully focused on working with emergency services and the relevant authorities to ensure the safety of our employees and the local community. Speaking of local authorities, we're talking with OCFA.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Nick Garton. I'm a captain with OCFA.
Captain, thank you so much for joining us. We're live on NBC4 here. I want to talk to you about some of the key points that we heard in that press conference. First and foremost, what is the most important message you do want to get out to the community, specifically the people who are impacted? I think we heard 40,000 people under mandatory evacuation orders.
Yes, ma'am. I think that all the public that's in the mandatory evacuation zones, that they heed those evacuation warnings for the safety of themselves and the safety of their families. This is a serious matter, and we want to make sure that public safety is our priority as always. So if you're being told to evacuate and you haven't done so already, please do so immediately.
And what has OCFA done to get that order out? I mean, via social media, are you knocking on doors? That 15% of people who have refused, how can you get to them?
Absolutely. So social media is a big platform, along with our local media, getting that message spread out. We've had helicopters giving announcements overhead, and we have evacuation teams in the area that are going door to door and trying to spread the message and get that word out to as many people as possible.
I think they're showing the old clip. Let's see. Trying to see if I can find a live out there. Let's see. How about KTLA? I wonder where like scanner too. I didn't see any scanner earlier, but oh, this is new. You're saying? Oh, okay.
And then we heard that the evacuation orders were lifted right around 9 o'clock yesterday. So let's talk about that process. Did that happen, and did it help mitigate things? And then what led us to this morning's re-evacuation order?
So I don't have all of the details that caused the change of events in the middle of the night. However, I do know that that facility has employees that are pre-designated for this type of situation, alongside our partners with Garden Grove Police and obviously OCFA Hazmat teams. They went in, they tried to mitigate the issue. Initially, they had success. I don't have the details as to why things changed overnight, but again, the valves, to my knowledge, were having issues. They were either inoperable or they were gumming up due to the product itself, which created that issue with this product either leaking out, as we've all been informed, or the potential for the BLEVE. So again, the abundance of caution is the phrase we've been using, but with these two being the most likely outcomes, we just had to make sure people, again, removed from the area and got to a safe space.
And Captain, tell us what's happening right now, because we're in the parking lot of the Los Alamitos racecourse. It is a very large parking lot with many what looks to be mobile command units here. What are authorities doing right now? We heard kind of a call, right, to other experts. Like, there's brilliant people here, there's wonderful experts here, but being that these are the only two options on the table right now, is there a call to state officials or other experts around the state to say, look, I've dealt with this before, this is what we did?
Yeah, I believe it's such a unique situation. As you heard the doctor with the OC Health discussed, exposures to this particular chemical are very rare. And so we're leaning on every resource, exhausting every resource in the area to try to find and come up with an extra plan to mitigate this situation. But at the current time, we have those two options really being the only ones, but we're not going to stop until we've exhausted every resource and hopefully find something that's more palatable for everybody.
What is the tank doing right now?
So it's not leaking anything to my knowledge. Again, we have unmanned water streams there to cool the tank since those valves are not working. We're attempting to use that water to cool the product and prevent it from reaching temperatures where thermal runaway will take place. But again, for safety of first responders and all the personnel in that area, all personnel are out of the area, and we just have that unmanned master stream flowing on the product with a ton of water trying to keep it cool.
When you say ton of water, there's no danger of it ever running out? I mean, how long is this going to go for?
Again, the time frame is unclear, as you heard Chief mention earlier, but we do have that master stream attached to a hydrant, which should supply an unlimited amount of water until we get further notice on time frame or further measures that are going to be taken.
Captain, I want to go back to those two options, neither of which are ideal situations. What would cause the tank to crack, which is the better option, right? And what would cause the tank to explode?
So because those valves are pressure relief valves, again, to my knowledge and what I've been told, since they're not operating correctly, this product, it heats itself. And so as it's heating, it's going to expand, and it's going to cause that tank to expand since it has nowhere to go. And so it's either that tank is going to fail if it continues to bulge and expand, or else that the product itself, the methyl
we'll call it MMA.
Yeah, the MMA is easier to say, but it's eventually going to the tank's going to crack because it's expanding, or it's going to reach temperatures where the thermal runway is going to take place, and there's potential for an explosion.
You've been doing this a long time. I mean, have you ever dealt with something like this, experienced anything like this?
Nothing to this magnitude with a hazmat spill outside. That's why I think you see so many agencies coming together, putting our heads together and trying to make sure that we keep the public safe. But we respond to so many different emergencies, and they're all different from the other. So we're going to continue doing everything we can.
Thanks, Captain, for your time. Captain Garden with the OCFA. Michael and Annabelle, is there anything you would like to ask him before I let him go?
Yes, Hetty, if there is an explosion, what does that look like for the community? How big could this be?
So Annabelle, with the good question of if there is an explosion, of course that's not something anyone wants, how big of an impact could this have? And we're talking let's talk distance, let's talk people impacted.
Yeah, so you heard our hazmat specialist, Chief Freeman, talk about the weight of the product, and we've have the evacuation zones in place based on models from our hazmat team on how large of an area this can impact. Those evacuation zones also have safety factors built in, so we're not just evacuating people right up to the edge. We want to make sure we have extra space, but there's so many variables to consider as far as where the wind's blowing, how much of the product is actually involved. So there's a lot of variables to include, but those evacuation areas, it's saying about 1 mile radius, so 2 mile circumference more or less, which are all the reports that we're getting at this time.
Okay, so that answers our previous question, because we knew of where the evacuation zone was, but we weren't really too sure how large it was. So accurate to say, tell us again not the square footage, but the mileage.
So what we're being told is 1 mile from the radius. So.
And again, going back to Annabelle's question, though, I mean, what could, and again, we don't want to cause hysteria or chaos, but potentially if this does explode, what could it look like? Are we talking about, buildings and neighborhood blocks?
Not to that extreme level. Again, we don't have every single detail on how that will look. The product may ignite. I'm not sure if it's going to blow up any houses in the area or anything like that. We don't want to cause any mass hysteria by any means, but we do have teams that are trained in that area looking further into it, so I don't want to give any false information at this point.
Captain, thank you so much with the OCFA. So you heard it from the captain. They are monitoring closely. They are working with everybody across the state to try to figure out if there's better options on the table, because those two options right now is for that tank to crack, that 7,000 gallons of liquid to go into a parking lot. The other option, of course, no one wants is that for that tank to explode. And, you heard from the captain potentially what that could look like, and that is why they're really taking all precautions precautions and evacuating a fairly large area, right, of 40,000 people who live in and around the area, not just in Garden Grove, but again, neighboring communities of Stanton, of Cypress. I believe we heard Buena Park as well. Michael and Annabelle, back to you.
All right. Hetty Chang, thank you so much for that. And we are going to be taking a break, but first, here's a live look over the facility from News Chopper 4. Officials are monitoring and watering that tank full of a toxic chemical that could spill or explode. Our live team coverage continues in a moment.
Okay, so I'm going to let them continue with the live coverage. Let me look and see. I was trying to see if there's any other feeds. Any other feeds? So they come back. Check all the Cali feeds. Local update. That's pretty wild, man. Yeah, I'd dip out if I could, either to a friend's house, and I would dip out further than the zone that they're saying. Or find a hotel on the other side of town. Let me show you this too. There was a clip New York Post posted, or California Post, said raining chemicals from the sky. Oh, they came back. That's pretty wild though to see. This one came back. Do that. Chopper.
They are preparing for, and that's why they've evacuated these surrounding neighborhoods. They're saying this chemical, this methyl, methacrylate, will either leak out of this drum that they're spraying down with water right now, trying to keep cool, or there could be some kind of explosion. This has been going on now since yesterday. This is an unmanned operation. They've made that clear because they're not exposing any firefighters on the ground to these risks. And as I widen out here, I want to point out again the proximity of this facility to RVs, to homes, to schools and parks in the area. We're not seeing any kind of activity. It looks to me like people have heeded those evacuation orders and they have cleared out. Now, what they have going on right now, as I zoom back in, this water is coming from a combination of both the company's on-site sprinkler systems and this unmanned device the fire department has brought in. And you can see this little orange piece. It looks like a piece of fabric. This wind sock is indicating the direction of the wind today. It's gusting at about 6 knots currently, and you can see the smoke is blowing away from here. So wind speed and direction is really informing the fire department's ongoing operations here as they wait to see what happens and how this plays out. But again, if you are under that mandatory evacuation order now, it is time to go. There is a reunification center. It's about 5 miles from here.
All right, Julia Dang live for us, News Chopper 4. Want to turn things over to NBC4's Amber Frias. She continues our team coverage from Garden Grove. Amber.
Hey, Annabelle. Yeah, we've been speaking with people out here who have been kind of on their way out, who have been evacuated from the area. And as you know, as many of us would be, they're scared. You know, they're feeling nervous, uneasy, and they say the worst part about it all is the uncertainty, not knowing, you know, what's going to happen, which of the two scenarios we've heard of, and when it's going to happen. We've also been hearing, you know, constant sirens from fire personnel in the area, which is also making people a little more nervous. We asked officials about it. They tell us they're just kind of preparing, staging in the area in case something happens. They're also going out and making sure people that are being asked to evacuate have evacuated, because that is the most important thing right now, because of the danger of this chemical that we have. Now, as you can see behind me, or if you're able to see behind me, there are several businesses here that are completely shut down. That is part of the evacuation area. We're here on the border of Garden Grove and Stanton. And like we've been hearing, there is a total of 5 OC cities under these evacuation orders. That is Winter Park, Stanton, Garden Grove, Cypress, and also Westminster. A total of 40,000 people that are being impacted. We heard earlier that there are still about 15% of those people that haven't left their homes, but of course they're being urged to do so just because of the danger of this situation. Now, like I mentioned, we've been speaking with people, you know, who are heading out. A lot of people concerned and nervous about the situation, but let's listen to what one man had to say.
Learned about this last night. Last night was the first time we ever heard about it. I had barely gotten off work. It was maybe around, I want to say 4 or 5. That's when two PD officers had passing through my neighborhood, saying that emergency evacuation, please release, let's go. And so that's when we left. And not until maybe hours until 9 o'clock, then it was lifted. But we thought it was fine. But the next morning, coming down to work, my uncle was dropping me off. We see a police officer stopping the road again. So we stopped and asked them, hey, is the evacuation restarted? They're like, yes. But the thing is, no officer came down our streets. We weren't alerted or anything. So we didn't know what was going on in the situation.
So some confusion is what we're hearing from some people in the area, especially after they were evacuated last night. Then they were allowed back into their homes and again evacuated this morning. There are also people who are still unsure about what's going on, why there are so many street closures in the area. But definitely people are becoming more aware about the concerning situation. Now, right now, nothing has happened yet. There is no cause for concern. The air is fine. The air quality is what it typically is at this time, but authorities do want people to just be ready and prepared for whatever is to happen. And if you do evacuate, like we've been mentioning, there are several evacuation centers set up for you. One of them is in Garden Grove at the Garden Grove Sports and Recreation Center. The other one at the Cypress Community Center. But for now, reporting live from Garden Grove, Amber Frias, NBC4 News.
All right, Amber, thank you. I want to give you a live look right now from News Chopper 4 over Garden Grove. Meteorologist Kelly Muda is here tracking your first alert forecast. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, so we are continuing to, of course, monitoring the observation sites in the area so we can give you an idea of what atmospherically things are looking like around this site. So, of course, nothing is presently being exposed to the atmosphere with this chemical, but we want to keep a close eye on winds because should it be, winds would carry this.
Yeah,
presently,
exactly.
We're seeing pretty calm winds, mostly keeping things between 5 and 10 miles per hour, even under that for Stanton. A few spots where we're seeing some gusts upwards of 10 miles per hour. But again, these are very light winds. Now, over the next couple of days, we are expecting our winds to increase. And again, this is all potential information that I want to share with you based off the fact that what we just heard in the news conference, what some general guidance would be in regards to some of these medical concerns should we be exposed to this methacrylate, MMA. Potential respiratory irritation could be a potential possibility. Skin irritation is one of the things they listed, eye irritation, as well as dizziness and nausea. So your best guidance is going to be to wear a mask. We noted earlier that there is an elevated amount of PM 2.5 in the atmosphere. Now that could be possibly because of the recent fires that have been around much of Southern California, spreading some of that smoke, but also because of this as a potential. We don't know for sure. So the smart move is to wear that N95 mask to protect yourself. Now, as we head into the evening hours, areas like Westminster, Garden Grove, Stanton, Cypress, expecting to see wind gusts continuing to come in from the southwest between 15 to 20 miles per hour. I'm giving you this timeline just because we don't know when, if anything, is going to happen here where our winds could be playing a factor. But over the next couple of days, we continue to see that trend of these 15 to 20 mile per hour winds picking up mostly in the afternoon and evening. Mornings are pretty calm for us. Again, looking at Sunday afternoon, that's when I expect these winds to pick up just a little bit more. And it's something that we'll be monitoring quite closely over the next couple of days until we have some form of resolution to the situation. But again, right now, things remaining rather calm around this area with continuous south and southwesterly winds that are quite light. But of course, it would be wise to wear that N95 mask given the current air quality in the area. We'll continue our coverage on this situation after the break.
All right, so we're just waiting to see what happens, what kind of updates. Would be wild to see if it exploded or something. Yeah, I don't know. On camera, not that way. You know, we want that, but that would be really wild to see. And then they're talking about the wind factor. I think, yeah, they said 1 mile radius. If it, I guess if they're saying if it explodes, 1 mile radius. They're about to launch to the Starship. It's supposed to be a big launch for Elon Starship. They are, let me see, I was reading a tiny bit here. They're launching completely new hardware, Ship 39 and Booster 19. Brand new from the ground up. Everything from Raptor 3 engines, powerful, lighter, and simplified plumbing. They got new launch infrastructure, pivotal step towards operations. Okay. Higher stakes. The flight profile includes more ambitious goals. In-space engine relights, payload deployment of 20 Starlink version 3 simulators. Ooh, I want that new Starlink, the new version 3 simulator. Or what? Camera sats, better heat shield testing. Okay. The back. How does fire move? Oh. So that's about to happen now, the launch. MMA. Sound like MDMA or something, or PMDA or some shit. Like a drug. MMA chemical.
T0. What are some of the things we need to be keeping an eye out for as we progress to the very pointy end of the countdown?
Yeah, we're basically just about a minute or so until the booster.
There's a short video here that says methacrylate explodes when exposed to chlorine or comes in contact with chlorine. Let's see. About the music, but oh snap! Damn.
This time, Los Alamitos USD schools are not under an evacuation order. There is no school today for elementary students due to a scheduled
schools are not under
non-student
evacuation.
day.
You can send them to
Schools
school.
for grades 6 through 12 remain open.
What the? That's at Los Alamitos. Yeah, you can send your kids to school. No problem. You got to evacuate the area, but you can send them to school. right, let's see if they come back. I'm going to look for choppers, flight radar. Oh, there's a bunch of choppers right now. Why aren't they showing nothing? Let me check the thing again. There's a couple of them. 1, 2, 3. Let's take it back. Let's see. Refresh this. Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm trying to get. ABC, they hit me with ads. I'm trying to. Guess it's not working on this website to stop it. Yeah, let's see this working.
Garden Grove, where they're dealing with a potentially dangerous chemical leak. Let's go to Chris Christie live in Air 7.
Chris Christie, ABC 7.
That's right, Colleen.
Oh,
Once
shoot,
again, we're
that?
at the GKN Aerospace facility where they are monitoring this very volatile situation. That tank right there in the middle of your screen. You can see the exterior of that tank literally peeling off as the chemicals inside continue to heat up despite all of the water they're trying to spray on there to keep.
Is that peeling off? Oh, it's not working. Hold on a second. ABC's being weird. All right,
Team coverage on this at 4 o'clock as well.
Yeah, Chris, thank you. There has been a lot of heavy news this week, and that is just a very dangerous situation. On that note, we wanted to share something. I wanted to share something I came across this morning. Proof that age is
monitor it for you during the 4 p.m. newscast. In the meantime, next on the NBC Nightly News with Tom Yama.
Let's see, it's about to launch.
Be about to fly. There's the weir vent. There comes the deluge. Let's look. There's the top deck. We should be seeing ignition.
I'll try to find us a feed in the meantime.
There's ignition.
Oh! Oh, shoot!
And I believe we have liftoff of Starship version 3.
Oh! Oh my God, that shit is huge! Look at that!
Seconds max Q.
Damn. Look at that thing go.
Starship version 3 is airborne, and we are headed to space under the power of 33 Raptor 3 engines. We are pushing through max Q. Oh my goodness, this is the period of maximum force on the vehicle when the thrust meets the thicker parts of the atmosphere, but there we go, we're pushing through, and it looks like we're getting a little bit of a vapor cone even forming there as the trail falls away from Starship. This is a spectacular ascent of Starship version 3. That looks like a flawless liftoff, passing the moon in the background.
Oh, shit.
That was so cool.
We will be going there eventually with Starship, but for now it's a suborbital test flight, the future destination in the background. For now, the destination is the Indian Ocean, and Starship continues to progress downrange. We are passing through 23 kilometers in altitude, and we have healthy Raptor 3 engines on booster 19. We're a few seconds away from main engine cutoff.
One engine off on the outer ring of 20.
Okay, we've lost one Raptor 3.
20 seconds, Mika.
32 of 33.
Yep, looks
But
like now
that's-
they're rolling for preparation for hot staging.
That's still the vast majority of engines. We'll have to see how many of those can relight for the boost back burn of Booster 19. But for now, Ship 39 and Booster 19 doing a spectacular job. Let's stand by for stage separation.
Hopefully we see that hot staging.
There is ship engine ignition. And we have stage separation. What a quick flip!
what the
The
hell?
booster is already facing the opposite direction. That was an expedited flip and a half. Oh, maybe the booster is losing a little bit control, or can it correct? Looks like a little bit maybe of an over-energetic spin from the booster. Looks like it can correct. It looks like it has the authority to correct.
It's only
Seeing a little bit of a
5
flash from the
engines
aft.
on
Oh
and
dear, only
shutdown
5
of the
engines.
booster. Yeah.
30 seconds.
Were those the 5
All
pusher
6 engines on the ship, though.
Good news from the ship, but that looked like a little bit of a wonky boost back burn from the booster.
20 seconds, boost back shutdown.
It's a yeah, it aborted the boost back burn.
Okay. Again, today is a test flight.
One Raptor vacuum is off on the ship.
We lost a Raptor vacuum.
Is that bad? What's that? What is that?
Okay,
Raptor
we're currently running
shit.
on 2 vacuum Raptors and those 3 sea level Raptors. And you can see there, I believe, on the left-hand side, that is the booster losing control. And you can see there from the ground, this is the Super Heavy Booster 19 with an aborted boost back burn. That will fall down. I think that's the ship in the background. You can see the booster falling back down to the Gulf below.
What the hell's going on?
And the ship is burning in the background on 5 Raptor engines, 2 vacuums, 3 sea levels. One of the vacuums has shut down early, but the other 5, Alex, they seem to be continue firing.
Yes.
Do you think they could get on their
And they-
trajectory with a subset of engines?
They mentioned that they have engine out capability, so the ship will just be burning a little bit longer, basically, to compensate. Yeah, one of the Raptor vacuum engines went out. It has the sea level still running, so those can compensate both on the gimbaling for attitude control, and also the fact that they can run for longer with those 3 engines, plus the other 2 Raptor vacuum engines. Still accelerating, speed still going up on the ship. The booster is tumbling a little bit as it comes back through.
We are watching the booster from the off-board tracking views. We are watching it from the ground. So a little bit of a wonky boost back burn, an aborted boost back burn from Booster 19, and it is now tumbling and falling back down towards the Gulf. Again, we were not expecting to recover this booster at all on this flight. SpaceX were hoping for a good boost back and a splashdown in the Gulf. Looks like it's going to be a bit more of an energetic splashdown than they perhaps were initially expecting, but that was a very, very quick flip from the booster. I mean, that was absolutely bonkers to see live on screen in front of us. In the meantime, Ship 39 continuing to burn towards space. It has lost a Raptor vacuum engine, but as Alex said, they have Raptor out capabilities. They are continuing to burn. The other 5 Raptors seem to be continuing as normal, and the ship is continuing to pick up speed as we push towards 9,000 kilometers per hour. So fingers crossed, Ship 39 can make it, even on a reduced subset of engines, because of course they only need the 3 sea levels when it comes to do their Raptor relight demonstration, which they could cancel if they need to, and their splashdown burn for landing in the Indian Ocean. So stay fingers crossed for the ship. And yeah, we can see there now, Alex, the booster picking
Look
up
at
speed.
that entry. Wow.
Yeah.
This is toasty.
Yeah,
This is.
oh yeah. The roll's picking up a bit, it looks like, too. We'll see if they end up actually trying for the landing burn for the booster there.
I think we might be going a little bit too quickly at this point. We are now going through 7 kilometers.
Yeah.
It's literally horizontal. We are going to be on board with the booster until the very end, I think, as we pass through the clouds on board Booster 19. Look.
Testing at least the grid fins. Oh,
Yeah,
it's
a
relighting
vapor
the
cone.
engines?
We've got an
There it
ignition.
is.
They're going for a landing burn.
Oh,
It was an aborted boost back burn, but they're going for a landing burn.
Oh,
The booster has
and-
ignited. Frozen cameras.
There we go.
oh,
That's
Looks
the
like
end
an
of the
impact
booster.
in the ocean.
oh.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, we go back to space, back on board Ship 39, passing through 12,000 kilometers per hour in speed through 6.5 minutes into flight, and 5 Raptors continuing to burn. We have lost one of those Raptor vacuums, but the other 5 engines continue to burn. So fingers crossed, should this continue in this configuration, Ship, with its authority of the 3 gimbling Raptor engines, should be able to make it onto that trajectory. And that was a very spicy booster flight indeed. Okay, we're getting the gadgets now to show us the exact orientation of the ship. It looks stable, Alex. It looks stable.
It does. It lost that RVAC engine, but again, it's got engine out capability. So the rest of the engines, the 5 remaining engines, will just burn for a little longer. I would expect the other 2 RVAC engines to shut down as planned closer to that final shutdown. If you remember, they used to shut down the engines first at the RVACs and then the center engines.
Yep.
Oh,
by the way,
on board in the engine bay coming up. There it is.
Wow,
Something's glowing.
Oh.
By the way,
I'm not sure.
The timeline you see on the bottom, obviously it's a little off because it had the super landing booster later, so it may be still burning when the bottom thing says Seco.
Exactly. Don't be surprised if those are a little off. But as you can see there, those are 3 sea-level Raptor plumes and are glowing in the aft bay of Ship 39 indeed. But at least the engine is still there. It doesn't look like the engine exploded or caused any debris. It's still there, intact. Maybe just a premature shutdown. So maybe a sensor or something. We'll have to wait and see what SpaceX says when they do their data reviews. But for now, Ship 39 continuing to burn. Again, don't be surprised when we push through this Seco mark initially. This was expected with 6 engines. We have lost one of those engines with only 5 burning right now.
Can we just appreciate this gorgeous view right now? I mean, look at that camera angle. Is that not just absolutely stunning?
Mate,
the sunset views are beautiful. I love these evening launches. And it looks like the Raptors do continue. Yep, they're continuing to burn. I can see the plume there. They're continuing to burn. Extended burn from Ship 39 as it has that engine out capability.
Speed's still
it's
going
doing
up.
the little dog leg. Remember that we talked about this?
Yes.
You can see it on the bottom right, on the attitude
It's flying
control.
this new trajectory between Mexico and Cuba, and to do that, it has this little bit of a dog leg to get around. Now, 9 minutes into flight, Raptors continuing to burn.
Very close to that Seco speed. 26,000. There we go. RVAC engines are off, and Seco. There it goes.
We have Seco, proper Seco of 5 Raptor engines. Alex, let me know if you hear nominal insertion.
I will.
From SpaceX.
Seeing if we can get an update on the ship orbit insertion, but we have shut down again. We did run longer as we were engine out. We were flying with 5 of those 6 Raptors pretty much the whole time.
The voice of Dan Hewitt, SpaceX Communications.
Yes, is saved.
There we go.
Yeah.
Flight termination system is off, so it's now disabled.
I think they're happy.
Wonder if that's an indication of how the ship
We definitely
did.
got a ship in space right now.
SpaceXers are very happy. We do have a Starship in space. But are we on the nominal trajectory? That is the key.
Now let's see if it holds attitude.
We're powering
flaps
it with
moving. The flaps are moving. There you go.
Oh.
As you can see, the teams are incredibly excited to see Starship there in space. We are awaiting the call out of nominal insertion. So we're going to stand by for that. We can see the flaps moving here, actuating. But wow, the cheers here in the lobby are certainly almost as loud as liftoff was.
Yeah.
Can we just say to the negative Nancy's in the chat?
Oh!
This is impressive.
That's right. Call them out.
This is impressive.
Call them out, negative Nancy's.
Considering this is the first ever flight of this version of Starship, this has gotten so much further than the first flight of V2 did and the first flight of V1. So this is progress, and this is what we want to see. Not 100% perfect, but it's great progress nonetheless. And we will still wait for that confirmation from SpaceX there in that nominal trajectory headed towards the Indian Ocean.
Okay.
We usually would have heard that by now, so we will stand by to see if we get that call or if they're in a slightly off nominal trajectory.
Negative Nancy.
I'm interested on that vent there. I wonder if that's a proper thruster that they're firing of depressing the payload bay. But I was going to say,
they got canceled.
Sorry.
Negative Nancy. Her boss is
I have
her.
like
She's in
different
trouble.
feeds in my ear right now. I
She's in trouble.
was going to mention, I was surprised by the booster. It lit all 33 engines at once. It did the liftoff. It only lost one engine on the way up, which is already way more than flight one in that sense, right? So, yeah.
And it used to be that they had 3 engine out.
Yeah, it's pretty trippy to see. Pretty trippy. Let me play this. I think this is live right now.
Health, Hazmat, as well as Hazmat,
if they have anything new.
AQMD, and now we just finished a conversation with the Department of Fish and Wildlife. So, you know, it's all hands on deck in order to fix this situation and make sure that both public and wildlife stay safe.
Boom.
Absolutely. All right, Susan Hirosino live for us there in East LA. Thank you so much. We'll look forward to her report tonight at 5 o'clock. All right, we'll be right back. Stay with us. Scene 2.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of the news stations are kind of like cutting right now. I don't know if it's their top of the hour, almost top of the hour. I don't know what's going on with them. I wonder if they'll send the helicopters back. I mean, I did see quite a few there, but sometimes I notice they just do news hits. Sometimes they don't want to. Then they say this YouTuber's going live, getting views and shit. Just do the news hits instead.
For that, we saw this on the previous flights where they had on flights 10 and 11 where they deployed those Starlink simulators, and so we are now seeing them getting prepared for that. Of course, one of the things is that everything needs to be good for that separation.
Look at this. This is amazing. By the way, we have break.
Oh, my connection cut. They cut me. Oh, we're back. Okay. Hopefully it's not a problem. Let me see if I find any other feeds. If not, we take a little mini break and come back. I haven't been able to find anything though. They should have like an emergency broadcast, like just even if it's like a radio scanner thing, just if something happens, an emergency, an explosion, you know. Let me see, KTLA. Oh, that's just a video.
Is at Fox 11. Have you heard about this growing trend? It's called looks maxing.
Oh, looks maxing. Yeah, there might be a plant explosion. By the way, though, looks maxing. Have you heard of that, mate? Negative Nancy's in the chat. Huh? I thought they were like in a command ship or command center. And I knew they weren't up in space, but I figured
Garden Grove Sports.
I didn't think they had time to look at the chat. Listen here, you negative Nancy's.
They allowed me to understand.
I thought you were in a command center with 3D glasses on. Okay. 2 minutes ago, fire officials.
Welcome back, everybody.
It's just a news hit. I feel like we're definitely going to have to update this. Maybe I'll have some dinner, do a few things, and come back. Oh, no notifications, though. Damn. No notifications. Make sure you guys follow me on Naked Mel Clips again. Naked Mel Clips, my second YouTube page, or Rumble for notifications, or Discord. It's Naked Mel, Twitch, anywhere.
So a little bit further, the reason why they did not call nominal orbital insertion is because of that extended burn uphill. They did their own simulations and things like that. It's a good orbit. It's a good trajectory, not the nominal one. So that's why they did not call it. It's good enough.
Let's redirect the chat over there. Nah. All right, guys. Yeah, I'm gonna take a little break, have some dinner, reset. If they come with something, I'm sure they're gonna have to come with something, some type of update tonight. You know, I don't know how long. I don't know if there's a time for this chemical to like dissipate or what's supposed to happen with it, or leak out or explode. There's only two options. It's either gonna leak thousands of gallons or it's gonna explode thousands of gallons. It's like, damn. How do we tell the people about this? How are they gonna explain and understand? That's all you have to fucking tell me. And how far I need to go, I'm out. But some people are stubborn. They're not gonna go. I've been living here 30 years. I don't know. But anyway, catch you guys later. Love you. Thank you so much. Subscribe for breaking news. Take care. Peace. Adios. Adios. Bloop, bloop, bloop.